So shall we start the session now?
Yeah, sure. We can start. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new semester. I believe on this semester, you all have only, is it just this module that you all have remaining?
Yes, sir.
Just this
Yes,
one.
sir.
All right. Okay, so you all have gone through 2 semesters of classes and modules, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. So may I ask, before starting, during these 2 semesters, what are the different subjects that you have learned? What are the modules that you have learned? So what kind of projects that you all have done? What kind of topics have you all covered over these 2 semesters?
There was leading innovation,
Okay.
practice of international management,
Practice of?
practice of international business and practice of management.
All right. Okay. So leading innovation. So you all learned about innovation. Brilliant. You all learned about international business marketing, is it? Or international business?
We had marketing as well on the first semester.
You all had marketing as well.
Yeah. And we learned about cross cultures.
Okay. Okay. So you all learned about how in different cultures you have different kinds of behavior, is it? Like, for example, in just one aspect of it, in Sri Lanka or Asian countries, you have collectivist kind of culture where families basically like to live together, tight-knit communities, whereas in Western cultures they are more independent. So you learned those aspects, is it?
Yes,
in that?
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is that model again? I can't remember. Do you all remember? It's been a long time.
Organizing
So,
and managing across cross cultures.
cross cultures. Okay. All right. And you all have learned about innovation. What do you all learn for business management? What was the aspect there? Was it operations management or was it more about finance?
We did include the financial statements as well.
Okay. All right. So did you all look at, was it more balance sheet oriented or did you all look at the financial health of the organization? Did you all look at ratios to see whether
Yeah, we looked at
assets?
ratios.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. And international business, was it that you looked at how to take a product or a business into a new market? Was that the assignment? Was that the area that you looked
Yes,
at?
that was the assignment.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. The reason why I'm asking you these questions is because in this module, you independently have the freedom to choose what you want to study. You can choose your research topic or your business problem. And have any of you all got the friendly guide to what this report is supposed to be?
Yes, we received it.
All right. We will go through it together, but have you all gone through it so far?
From my side, no, not yet.
All right. Okay. So what you all need to do is in this project, right? We'll just first of all, I think it's best to jump right into the crux of it and actually look at what you need to do, what the assignment is, what is expected of you. So then we can align our energy and what we need to do, or our attention to this common goal of looking at what a consultancy project is and how we research into it. So I think something that you must have done across all your assignments is looked at some element of change. So when you're looking at international business management, you're looking at moving your product into a new market, right? You're taking it, let's say, an existing product that is successful in Sri Lanka, for example, or successful in Dubai. For example, let's take Elephant House ice cream, right? If you take Elephant House ice cream, it's a successful product in Sri Lanka. But has India ever heard of the product? In Dubai, do you get Elephant House ice cream?
No, sir.
No. But do you think that it would be something that the people in Dubai or people in India or even Maldives would be interested in?
First, we need to know about the
Maybe.
products, and laterly we can decide if it will be interesting or no.
Good. Okay. Let's take a product that you all know about. Can you give me an example about a product that is in your country? Maybe take a product that you did for your assignment. What was the product that you did in your assignment?
We talked about PepsiCo.
All right. Okay. Let's take Pepsi. Right. So Pepsi is, which country did you all introduce Pepsi to?
We introduced Pepsi to Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. So Pepsi doesn't exist in Saudi?
We do have it. We just went with a forecast of how
Or-
it's.
All right. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about it. What do you mean by a forecast?
We analyzed the market, the current market. We analyzed the competition within the market. And we gave an idea on how they can import new products which will be culturally suitable from the USA to Saudi.
All right. Okay. So under the Pepsi, so Pepsi exists, but not all the different kinds of variety. Is
Yeah.
it? So you all looked at introducing new varieties of Pepsi into Saudi Arabia. So when doing so, y'all would evaluate and y'all would do a lot of market research, right? Y'all would do a lot of market research to understand whether the market is conducive. Conducive. What is the meaning of the word conducive? Conducive means whether in that market it
Appropriate?
is current.
Is it appropriate?
Yes, appropriate, but a little bit more deeper. Whether, for example, whether it matches, right? Whether the market would be successful if you brought the product there. Whether there is acceptance or a limited number of barriers for the product to come into that market and be successful. So if you plant the seed in fertile soil, it will grow, or will it not grow? Just to give you an example of illustration. So that would be what the word conducive means. We're looking at whether there is success. And in order to look at whether it is successful or not, there's a lot of research and market research that you need to look at, whether you're looking at political aspects. So you look at the pestle, you look at whether financially are there any barriers to enter into the market. So whether there are tariffs, whether there is a young population who like products that or variety of soft drinks, where there is competition. So all these factors that you would look at. But when you're looking at Pepsi, themselves, you want to look at all of these aspects because you're looking at whether the organization can expand, whether it is ready for change, right? Likewise, in this project, you're choosing a business or an organization that you're familiar with, and you're looking at whether that business is ready to change. And for that, you need to look at, okay, is the business running smoothly as it is? Is there any threats to the business that is going to affect the growth or continuation of the business, right? Let me speak generally before I share and get into the discuss it. Are you looking at basically, do you have to innovate? Do you have to create changes within the organization to adapt to how things are working in the world. Now we can see that artificial intelligence is very much more growing to be much more popular in this year and in the following years. Blockchain was also a very interesting kind of new technology that was introduced. During COVID, there was changes that we could not avoid. Businesses had to adapt to work from home. So in terms of operationally and also in terms of marketing is the front end where we basically provide the product or we work with the customer. Operations is the back end, everything behind the marketplace or behind the front desk, right? How do we take the product or develop the product for delivery? So there is constant looking at how we can change, improve, and adapt, right? And if we don't adapt, if we don't change, what happens? You might have learned this in innovation. Why is innovation important for businesses? Why is change important?
To keep up to date with the current
continues and
trends.
All right. So I heard two answers. The first one I heard was to keep up to date with changes that is happening in the environment. Okay. Second one.
and to continues as working, because some places they will close if they will not follow the innovations and everything. They cannot keep going on, and they will just close.
That's right. So can you give me an example of a company or business that had to close because they did not adapt, because they did not change?
Nokia.
Nokia. Good example. Anyone else? Yeah, Nokia, right? So when the smartphone was introduced, they did not adapt and they did not use that technology. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Nokia was bought over by another company, right? And so things like that, mergers, acquisitions. So the business environment is constantly changing. Kodak, which is still in existence today, but they are in a different I think they're in the business consultancy kind of arena, but they used to be the leading business in cameras, right? And video camera reels, right? But they refused to change. Likewise, there was a company called Blockbuster, which did video cassette rentals. They too changed or refused to change, and they were taken over by or beaten by Netflix. So they went out of business and became bankrupt because video streaming became much more popular, and they became bankrupt. Likewise, something I would recommend all of you all to watch. Have you all watched the TV series called The Playlist? I think it's in the Swedish language, but there's translation. How many of you all have watched The Playlist?
No, sir.
All right, so it's on Netflix. Has anyone else watched it?
No.
No.
All right, it's a very interesting one. Now that you have done up to this stage of the degree, you all have done subjects like international marketing or international business management, and then you all have done in leading innovations. Because you have done these modules, I think it would be good for you to kind of, with that perspective, reflecting on what you have learned, watch this TV series because it talks about how Spotify was introduced to the market at a time when Pirate Bay was also in existence, and how the music industry, it was based on licensing and how to protect the intellectual property of artists was such an important thing, and that's how artists made money at that point. How audio or music streaming, how many things that they need to adjust and change in order to become and make sure that it fitted into the market. It became a legal, legitimate product that benefited both the consumers as well as the artists who would sell their music or share their music on the platform, right? So it's a very interesting aspect. So one thing that you could really learn or explore, the more you read, more you explore case studies of how businesses change, how businesses operate, how businesses grow in a dynamic environment, the more you will be able to apply your knowledge. And because businesses change or need to change, that is the reason why they need to actually take a step back and evaluate how they are running their business and whether there are ways in which to make their operations more efficient, or make their marketing activities more efficient, or expand in that aspect where they market, where they go into new markets, where they need to look at growth in that aspect. Or else do they change completely, digitalize, or do they change the way they the concept, or diversify? Some businesses, they are so good at what they do. For example, if you take I'm sorry, I need to think of a little bit more of universal examples, because I'm so used to using Sri Lankan examples. Have you all heard of a company in Sri Lanka called John Keel's? No, right? Okay, so I will need to look at
No.
international. Have you?
No, sir.
Just
No,
one
okay.
of us is from Sri Lanka, actually.
Who is from Sri Lanka?
Myself.
Yourself. Okay, so you know John Keel's. But if you look
Yes.
at, okay, let's take a foreign company. Foreign company. Have you all heard of the term conglomerate? Conglomerate. Okay, so a conglomerate is a business that is not only they might have a core business, so they started out doing one product or one area of business. So if you look at Amazon, that would be an interesting one, right? Amazon, what is the business that they started out with? Books, right? They became the #1 online book sales store, right? That's how Amazon grew. And today they deliver anything and everything. But Amazon is not only into online markets, creating e-commerce, and that's not the only business that they do. What is the other businesses that they do? What other companies, what other areas are they into?
Deliveries.
So delivery, that's their core business, right? That's e-commerce. So they're into e-commerce, creating online market and logistics. That's what they're into. But you can see that they also have under them, which is completely different from what their core business is. It's a movie streaming or TV series content streaming company, right? Like Netflix. It's a competitor to Netflix. So Amazon Prime, right? Am I right? Amazon Prime is the video streaming.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
video
the
streaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Good. Okay. And apart from that, they're also into real estate. So that is what a conglomerate is. So why would they move into a completely different area from what their core business is? Right? So sometimes businesses would see opportunities to diversify. They would be doing one thing. A chocolate company might be making chocolate, but then they might decide tomorrow there's opportunity to buy over a cheese company, and they would find, hey, the cheese making business is similar to chocolate, or I have just the right person to run this business, run this kind of business. So we will find a business, we will buy it over, and we will operate it, or we will start from the ground up. So businesses make these decisions based on opportunities that they see, right? And then that is called diversification, right? Product diversification, or diversifying their business strategy. So they do this also because they're looking for growth, they're looking for new angles of earning money and value the software also for their customers, right? So all these decisions need to be made or can be made, but sometimes these decisions, it's a make or break. Sometimes they are successful and sometimes they fail. So what we will do on the next class is we will look at some interesting case studies of businesses that made decisions to change that were unsuccessful, right? Because I think the successful decisions you all would very much be familiar with. Likewise, we would look at successful case studies as well. Case studies, do you all understand what I mean by when I say a case study?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, good.
More like a research.
Not a research. No, no. What is Reem? What is a case study? What is a case study?
We actually studied about like different countries and their product, how they build up more. Like we have done this before.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Wasn't clear.
Is it an analysis on a subject?
So I think you have a point. I think what you're thinking about is there's something called case study research, where they would look at a specific company in a specific situation, and they would try to record. So for example, let's say you all are familiar with Next Campus, right? How Next Campus handled transitioning onto online education during the COVID period, or transitioning onto online education during the time that they decided to internationalize, right? So that is basically a case study research. So someone would look at, okay, what were the decisions that were made? Why did they make the decisions? So they're looking at what happened during this period of time. With this decision, they would look at what happened and what were the results. So they would analyze. So maybe you're looking at it from a research perspective. That is what a case study is. So to write that case study and create that case study, there's a lot of research and analysis to figure out what that story is about. But when I'm saying case study, I'm saying that not the case study research, but the end product. The end product is basically at the end of that, there would be a publication which relates the story of what happened. It's a real, like a true story. Like we would watch documentaries. Those are case studies, right? They are case studies of some actual event that happened in history. But we are looking at businesses. So how businesses handled a certain situation, or how businesses would diversify. So Spotify and the playlist also is a case study of something that actually happened in history, and explaining to us what happened during that time. They break it down and explain what the story is, what are the decisions that were taken, why did those decisions, why did the people who made those decisions make those decisions? Were they based on just instinct, or were they based on proper analysis and proper well thought of strategic thinking, right? So that is what case studies. So it's a narrative of what would happen, what has happened in the past. So what we would look at, so for example, when we say how Kodak went out of business or became bankrupt, that is a case study, looking at that history, that time where they did not make the right decisions, where they refused to adapt or evolve. That is a case study. So we will look at a few of those to actually look at why consultancy is so important. So moving into consultancy, before I go into that area, let's take a short break and let's do a round of introductions. My name is Jeremy, as you might see my name on the screen. I've worked 6 years. I started my career out in banking. I started in a very junior place where I worked in sales and also in operations, so a combination of both. While I was doing my studies, so I used to work during the week and study during the weekends, much like you guys. And I funded my education, I think, through Right. So yeah, then I moved to Next Campus, where I also continued to study. I did my master's while I was at Next Campus. I did business. I looked at project management. So I did my master's in project management. Then after that, I became very passionate about education development and how education policy needs to change and adapt. I moved out of Next Campus in 2020. Two, I think, 2022. And during 2022, we formulated an organization called Teach for Sri Lanka, which was a fellowship program to encourage young people to take up the opportunity to teach in high need schools as a part of a fellowship program. And then I moved into a partner organization called Child Action Lanka to introduce this kind of fellowship idea, which we did last year. And this year, I'm education specialist for that same organization called Child Action Lanka. So now I work in the development of the charity kind of aspect of it, where we're looking at helping children who are disadvantaged. So I've done a lot of different things. I think there's been a very interesting evolution of what I've studied. Last year, I did a postgraduate diploma in education policy and analysis. So that's a little bit about me. And yes, I'm very passionate about how education, the delivery of education, and how do you organize content, because today we live in a different world where it's not just the teacher or the lecturer that is important when it comes to education, right? You are educated through, and it has always been so, you are educated, or education comes through different means. So this is just one form that you would be educated. You can watch, if you watch the right videos or you watch the right Netflix TV series or something like that, there's education through there, because you're learning, you're developing perspective, you're developing ideas, and you're connecting what you theory, things that you have learned with what you're watching. So there's an educational factor through that. Also, when you do work in the real world, you get educated there. So you're always constantly connecting the dots and really understanding, okay, how the world works, and within how the world works and how it's engineered, how there are opportunities, right? But often we don't treat it as learning. Often we kind of treat it as work. We treat it as things that we need to get done, and that's where the mistake is. So I think there are jobs where we just do the job, and there are jobs where we actually learn and explore, and we learn on our own and create and innovate, and those are the ones that are exciting. So I would always like to be in the latter kind of part of, in terms of where I work, and I'm always curious about the world. And I think a lot of people are inherently curious, but curiosity takes a lot of initiative and work as well. It's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes it's easy to just follow a life, have a family, kind of lay back and live and follow the formula. It's a good thing to do, to kind of keep a balance between work and life. So that's a little bit about me. I'd like to get to know about yours, so that then maybe when we have discussions in class about the things or the lesson, then I can kind of connect with you all and tell you all, how share examples that relate to your work, if I know anything. So could we do a round of introductions, and maybe I can get to know you all a little bit better. Anyone who wants to go first? Mr. Nasir, is it? Abdul Rahman? Nasir, would you like to go? Gentlemen first.
Sir, if you would just give me like 10 minutes and other people go before me, because I'm outside right now. I won't be able to speak properly.
All right, okay. Out of curiosity, may we ask where you are? Is it okay to share?
I'm just going home from work right now, so I need like 20 minutes.
All right. I'm so sorry that this time doesn't work. I hope it's not something that.
No,
so I
no,
understand on
it's all
Saturday.
right. It's all right.
All right. On Saturdays, Dubai, your work, isn't it? And
Sir,
Friday,
I live in Kuwait. I don't live in Dubai.
You live in Kuwait?
I live in Kuwait.
Okay.
Yes, Kuwait.
All right. Is Fridays a holiday for you?
Friday is a holiday. Saturdays also, but I have like a part-time shift usually on Saturdays, sometimes. Not every Saturday, sometimes.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Um, what about the others? Anyone else would like to go ahead?
Okay, I will start.
Sure.
My name is Ghizlan. I'm living in Abu Dhabi for almost 10 years now. I'm from Morocco. I'm working in at the university, French university in Abu Dhabi. It's called Sorbonne University. Working in the administration for departments of general services and procurement. I study hospitality before. I worked in hotels and everything. Plus, last job before this one, I was working in Louvre. It's a museum, French museum here in Abu Dhabi. And I want to grow up in my work and my career. That's why I'm looking for getting this sessions and everything. That's why.
All right. So you work for the Louvre, which is the French museum. What kind of work did you, and how long did you work there?
I worked for almost 3 years, but it was Corona. It was like in the middle of the Corona. I worked for customer service there as a guide for. We explain what we have and what we do there for the visitors who's coming to guide them where to go, what to do, what is exactly from where we get the things we had there.
All right. Wow, that's interesting. I have a friend who works in something called the Museum of Modern Sri Lanka, and she does a lot of interesting work in terms of setting up exhibitions. That means finding the right artifacts. Also, how do you conserve, manage those artifacts? Because artifacts need to be treated with care in terms of logistics of those artifacts. So it's a very interesting business in the operations and as well as knowing, showing people around and explaining to them what these and taking them around. That also it's like acting. It's like being an actor because you have to really quickly download or remember all the knowledge about this, what you share. Isn't, am I right?
Yes, it was a
Yes.
little bit hard for in the beginning, but it was easy after that.
Yeah. So you have to be very intelligent to be able to quickly learn things and deliver. All right. And you work in administration now at French uh, university. What kind of
Yes,
programs?
Sorbonne.
So on. All right.
We
What programs do they deliver?
we do have more about arts, law, and it's more about arts and law here at the
All right.
university.
Social sciences as well, or
We start
philosophy?
this last 2 years doing programs for science,
All right. Do
but
you look at
beginning we start
economics,
with arts.
philosophy? Sorry?
Yeah. Beginner, they when they open it, it was about arts and law. That's it. And after that, every year they are making extra programs. And last 2 years, it was about scientific programs and economic.
All right. Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
working at the administration for procurement and general services. It's more about what's going on at the university with the students and the staff and what they need, everything.
Understood. So you don't handle the academic side of things, looking at, okay,
No.
handling assignments and that. It's more logistics. How do you keep the operation running, procuring the
Yes.
right materials and all of that?
Yes.
How many children you all usually serve? Average?
For now, we do have like 1,000 something
All right.
because
So
it's
if
hard to
you,
find students who's interested to learn French because they will start learning French from beginning.
right. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So if I were to ask you, Ghislaine, if you were to be given the opportunity to do a research on your organization, would you choose your organization, the one that you work for now? Is it Sorbonne? That's basically the name of the institute, right? The university?
Yes, Sorbonne.
Sorbonne. Would you choose them? I think there's a lot you
Yes,
could.
of course.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I work in administration. So that's what I did for next, more on the academic side of things. But I ran student services. I don't know if you know Nilakshi, but I worked with Nilakshi or did her role previously when I was at Next. So I think there's a lot I could basically support you with coming up with ideas. So very interesting. Great.
Okay, it will be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Look forward to discussing that. Anyone else?
I will go next.
Please do. Yes. How do you pronounce your name? I want to be
Mubashira.
careful. Pardon?
Mubashira.
Mubashira. Okay. What do you have a nickname?
You can call me Mubal, short.
All right. Okay. That's cool. Okay.
Okay. Residing in Saudi Arabia currently. Born and raised here. Originally from Sri Lanka. I am working for the past 4 years. I was working part-time first as an IELTS invigilator. And now I'm working for the past 3 years full-time in an hospital industry for a private sector hospital. On the administration side for the facility management internal staffs, for the reporting and data analysts.
All right. So you so hospital management, not hospitality, but hospital
Yeah.
facility management. Okay. Wow, that must be very demanding. Do you work around the clock?
Yes.
All
There
right.
is no
Okay.
set time on most occasions.
Mhm. All right. Okay. So yeah, I can imagine how complicated that might be because it's a 24-hour operation,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of pressure to make sure the facility runs smoothly because if there is a lot of risk involved, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
I do mostly for the reports of the top management, which
All right.
includes gathering the data and all those things.
Right. Right. Interesting. There's this TV series, I can't remember. It's about a doctor who runs administration and handles. It's something that you might want to watch. I can't remember what it's called, but you might be interested. So you were an IELTS invigilator. So
Yes, I'm doing that now as well on the part-time basis on the
right.
weekends.
So your English must be very good.
Yes, it's
as
improving.
I can hear. Yes. Do you speak only English or do you speak Arabic as well?
No, I don't speak Arabic.
Don't speak Arabic. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other languages?
I speak Tamil.
Okay.
I can understand Hindi and Malayalam a little bit.
Okay.
Sinhala is a complete no. Yeah, that's it.
I speak a little Tamil. I've learned a little. Not
Okay.
easy. My parents spent some time in Kuwait. So they used to speak in Arabic when I was young, and they didn't want me to
Okay.
understand what they were saying. They would speak in Arabic. So I would try to learn Arabic to understand. So I knew a little bit of Arabic, but not enough to as much as I know Tamil. Okay, brilliant. I think so. You would look at a lot of in terms of if you were to do a project that looks at a business and looks at change and consultancy. I'm guessing that you would look at the area that you're working for, which especially if you're dealing with reports. So you have a great background as well. So you're ready for this. Good. Reem, what about you?
Hi, good morning or good evening where you're sitting. My name is Reem and I live in Portugal. I was born in Kuwait and I used to teach children English and more subject for like 1 year, and now I'm just studying.
Sorry, we lost you. I lost you at when you just said what you're doing now.
You cannot hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I just said I used to teach children for about a year, and now I just said like I'm just studying now.
Okay, and you're just starting now. So you're not working now.
No.
All right. So you used to teach English. Are you passionate about education, how education can be changed? Is that an area that you're passionate about, or are you interested in a different area after doing the degree?
No, I do like teaching, so I might, after my bachelor, I might study English literature and like see in teaching if I can get in.
Okay. So if you were to choose an organization that you would like to conduct a research on, you've done some work during this degree looking at conducting audits on businesses, maybe looking at the SWOT, looking at how the internal performances and processes. You've done some work, haven't you, in during this degree? So what organization have you chosen during for those assignments? What kind of area would you like to look at?
We have chosen for our last assignment, it was a group one, we chose Nestle, like the company for Brazil to import.
All right, okay. Import to which country?
It was from originally from Switzerland. We were about to import it to Brazil.
Brazil. Okay. So Switzerland to Brazil. Okay. Interesting. So you said so it was a group project, was it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Reem, you're currently in Portugal
Yes.
and it's morning there, is it?
Yes, it's like 12, like noon.
It's noon there. All right. Do you live in a lovely, very interesting part of Portugal or?
I live like the city is halfway, a half hour away.
All
Not,
right. Okay. Must be interesting. Must be beautiful.
it's really cold here right now.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Um, are you Portuguese by you were born in Portugal or
I was
you
born in Kuwait. I went here for like my family. They live there.
right, okay. So your family is from Kuwait originally, is it?
No, from origin they are from Pakistan.
Pakistan. Okay, interesting. All right. So I don't know if you know a lot about Sri Lanka, but Portuguese, we were colonized by Portuguese, not colonized, but they came here to do business. And a lot of the Portuguese people, and even in Sinhala, a lot of Portuguese words are part of our language. Um, it- I think I also have some kind of some ancestral, maybe some Portuguese influence also in terms of where I come from, or my ancestors might have been from Portugal. So I'm a Sri
That's
Lankan
really
burger.
fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting how the world works. Globalization, right, and people moving from one place to another. All right. Last but not least, we have the gentleman. Are you ready to maybe introduce yourself? But if you're on the road, maybe we can take another break later and speak to you, Nasir. Would you like that?
Yeah, sure, sir. I have like 5 minutes. So, my name is Abdurrahman Nasir. I am from India, living in Kuwait. I was born here actually. And I work on the weekdays and study on the weekends, as most of you guys. And I work as, it's nothing specific, it's called operating manager. Because it's a small company, we don't have a lot of employees. So everyone is doing, like multiple jobs, multiple positions. So it's a good company. It's somewhat connected to the degree I'm doing. It's an app called UseDo. It's like OLX. We are the moderators between sellers and buyers. And basically, what we are doing different is we deliver it for them, and we also do the bank transfers for them. Instead of the buyer contacting the seller and dealing with him directly, we do the dealings in between. So that's it basically.
All right. So you're an intermediate and buyer. You said, is it B2B or business to customer? You do delivery.
Business to customer.
Business to
Business to
customer. So
customer.
like Alibaba.
No, it's actually, sorry, it's actually customer to customer. We don't own anything. It's actually sellers. For example, a seller have an item to sell. He will upload it in our application, just like OLX. The only thing is the difference between us and OLX is that we deliver it. Instead of the buyer going himself or the seller delivering it himself, we do the delivery and also we do the bank transfer. For example, the seller's profit, we transfer it to him instead of
All right.
cash.
That's interesting. I'm curious. I have more questions. I think there's a lot you can research. Okay, my number one question is, okay, if I was selling something, right, and I would upload it, I'm guessing you have a platform.
We have application, correct?
You have application, all right. So I upload, let's say I'm selling my phone. I would upload
Sure.
it. Would you all check the quality of my phone, whether I'm telling the truth about the specs and the
We
quality
would
of
just
my
ask
phone?
you, sure, we would just ask you to fill in the classifications like the storage and in the description you can type whatever is whatever the phone has defects. For example, it's broken. And also we ask you to take a picture from every angle, front, up, down, behind, so it's clear for the buyer. And also we have a chat system in the application itself where the buyer can text the seller through the application without revealing the phone number or anything and ask them if anything is wrong with the product. And the seller has to be honest.
All right, interesting. And what kind of margin would your company keep on the sale?
We are keeping 12%. We're having 12% commission on the entire selling price. For example, if the iPhone is 100 KD, we keep 12. And also on top of that, we have the delivery fees, delivery charges, which depend on the size of the item. For example, we have many sizes right now. We have small size is 2 KD, Kuwaiti dinar, and then medium is 5, large is 10. So depending on the item, for example, if it's a phone, it will be small. If it's, let's say, a refrigerator, it will be XL, which is 15 KD. For that, we require a bigger car. So the drivers take also the charge a lot more than a small item, than a small car.
All right, brilliant. Okay, that's very interesting. All right, so that's I'll have a lot of questions later for you. I so many questions that are coming up, but I don't want to focus on that and ask you everything. Maybe over time, as we discuss things, I would be able to relate to you. All right, so brilliant. It was nice getting to know all of y'all. All of y'all come from very interesting areas, and I will have something to relate. So like I said, I think now let's go into looking at what the project is and what the consultancy project is. And let's so the first place I want to take you all to is this document, right? I think it's important that we go through this document together because it will give you a lot of perspective and an idea of what we're doing. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
I think this is a little bit better if I show it like this. All right. So it's basically what we're aiming to do is in this module is that we will take everything that you've learned throughout the degree to a real world business challenge, right? So now we're actually sometimes maybe everything that you would learn about your business would be something that you could share with your managers or within your companies and say, hey, I did some research about the operations or how our company is working and looked at us, and because of the research I did on your company, I understand that there is a certain opportunity for us to change or develop or improve a certain aspect of it. All right. You could basically share that maybe after this assignment, after you've done it. So that could be a goal. And then they might give you a promotion and say, yeah, I want you to be a project manager for this company. That would be the ultimate goal, right? Better than getting the degree and the transcript, or better than getting an A for this subject. I think that would be the goal. But we will see. I think one thing that I would like all of y'all to do is actually go for a first class degree, and maybe this subject I think would give you the needed marks that you need to get that. Okay, so just to go on, you will undertake a consultancy project for your organization of your choice, subject to approval of your academic advisor, which is yours truly, where you will identify a problem, conduct research, and recommend practical solutions, right? So I want you all to keep this in mind, and if you can highlight it, right? I'm going to highlight it too. Identify a problem. Okay, and I will teach you how to do that. That's not as easy as it sounds. Conduct research, which is not a difficult thing to do, but there's a lot of work involved in it. But identifying the problem means a lot of decision, a lot of thinking, and a lot of figuring out what I want to do, what am I really passionate about, right? Finding that purpose, right? So that could be a real challenge, and I think we'll need to really explore, and you need to do a lot of research and exploring yourself. Some of you all might get it like this. You all might know exactly what you want to do because you have an idea, but others might struggle a little bit. But we'll work through it, right? And then it says this project helps you demonstrate professional skills, problem solving, and research to project management and analysis, right? But out of this, I think one thing that I want you to do is remember these steps: identify a problem, conduct research, and recommend practical solutions, right? So you conduct the research to come to these practical solutions. You will, in the end, know what steps to take in order to solve this business problem that you have identified. Okay. Then why is this module important? Because you will apply your knowledge, because you will not just look at what you will learn in, or what you have learned in this lesson, but you will also look at um, applying what you have learned. So you've learned probably different models, right? You've learned about different cultures, cross culture, how different cultures differ. And that is important because you learn about different environments, right? How people behave and how markets behave and customer behavior because of different cross culture, right? Then you would have also learned about innovation, why how, what kind of change is important. You would have learned about business operations, how to be more effective or efficient in the way you run businesses, how you can change things around to make the business operation a little bit smoother or better, right? So you would apply that knowledge uh, into your real business context, and you would basically look at something you've learned during the degree, whether you could apply that knowledge to solve a business problem that you've identified, and really test out what kind of relationship there is. And then you would get an opportunity, and you have the freedom to choose what that area is. It could be it could be innovation. I'm passionate about innovation, so I don't know, did you all learn about design thinking during the subject leading innovation? Did you all learn about design thinking? No? I need to look at the syllabus because I have the syllabus for this leading innovation. Just give me a random tool. Tell me a random tool or something that you've learned that solves problems. A random tool that you found interesting, a theory. Let's do this as an exercise. Ghislaine, what about you? Anything that you can think of? I'll give you some time to think about it. Let's take a minute or two. Let's take a random tool and let's take a new sheet to write this down. Let's take a theoretical tool or area that you learned. Something that is interesting to you. Do I have host access? Okay, while you think about it, what we'll do is I'm going to encourage you all to have a discussion with each other, right? So you have to imagine that I'm not here, and we'll have a discussion with each other about this. So we'll do that in a little bit. So what we'll do is we will first, so I'll give you all an activity, right? We'll take an area or theoretical area that you interested you during this degree. So that could be as simple as basically Ansough's matrix or PCG matrix. And what is was it Hertzberg? Have you all done change management?
We did Herzberg's cultural dimension.
Ah, that's it. That is the one. Power, distance, uncertainty. All right. Okay. Okay. So I want you all to pick. Have you all done the Ansough's matrix? Have you all learned about that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. All right. So I want you all to maybe pick one of these tools. Anything else? Anything else? Let's just
Can we use SWOT or pastel?
It was very basic, but you know what? Let's do it. It's fine. Let's take SWOT pester. Okay, so we'll come back to that. If you think of anything else to add to that list, let me know. Okay, so we'll learn about how these tools can be used to solve a problem, right? And we will look at maybe in your context, we'll look at a problem that a simple problem maybe. I'll work with y'all. If y'all can't come up with an idea, maybe I'll give you an idea, and let's see how we can look at how we can apply our knowledge to solve that problem. Okay. Boost your employability, right? So this would give you the strong skills and develop key skills, like from critical thinking to managing your project management skills, so how to plan, how to deliver, and how to solve problems and respond to risks. Those are crucial areas when you're doing project management. And gain practical experience that is essential for your role. So that is why the module is important. So we'll understand business concepts, apply key frameworks and processes to address real business problems, which we will try to do now in a simple sense, so that you all get an idea of how you can apply these tools to your business or addressing business problems. Then we'll conduct research and analysis. So this is a little bit scientific, right? But very interesting, because what do you think research and analysis is about? What is that process of research about? There's a way, a formula that you can use. It's sometimes like math, but it's more related to theory. But what do you think it is about? Why do we do research and analysis?
To know the history and the forecast about a company or some specific product.
Okay. Okay. Any others?
To collect informations and conduct ability to conduct the projects and the system where we are working.
Okay, good. Is that Reem? Reem answered that, is it? Good. Anyone else? So just to take, before anyone goes any further, I'm just going to try to kind of like see what Reem is saying here. She's saying that we are looking at analyzing how the history, okay, of a business, the things that are happening, so that we can forecast how things could happen, right? What direction we're heading in response to an environment. Good. Okay, I like it. Good. What else?
We can learn the background of the items or the products we are looking forward to improve.
Right. Okay, good. So let's take innovation, right? So in order to do to innovate, right, you need to understand what is the first of all, what is
Yes, what is the current status?
what is the current status? What is in what way can this be improved? So, for example, um, what is when I take a phone, what is my need to make phone calls, right? So we had that in if you look at history, we had these big phones that so the solution that it gave us was the ability to not have to come to the house to take a phone call or receive a phone call. So in an emergency, we get a phone call, but those were big, right? So the size was a problem. So then they found the solution of how to make the mobile phone smaller, but still you can only make calls and get calls. Then with computing, they thought, okay, hey, there are other things that people need mobility to, like for example, to take pictures, right? Very random. Who would put a camera on a mobile phone? He wouldn't have been heard of. Mobile phone is for phone calls, not a camera is for taking pictures. So why would you put two together? But people wanted a simple solution where they can this thing, but and the pictures that you take, you can send it to people. So you can see evolution of solutions in response to existing needs that customers have. So you're augmenting based on that. Right. So that's what you're talking about. Good, good. Anything else? Okay. So this is how I see research and analysis, and it's not from a business perspective. Y'all have y'all know Sherlock Holmes, right? What does Sherlock Holmes do?
Detective,
Detective.
sir.
He's a detective, right? So when you're conducting research, can you say that Sherlock Holmes is like a researcher?
Yes.
Why is he a researcher?
He's searching the true and what is the real what's happened.
Right, exactly. So he would look at things that other people wouldn't look at, right? He thinks a little differently. He would look at clues, right? So he's always looking for clues, and he would try to, what is he trying to create? He's trying to build a story. He's trying to say, okay, this is the missing picture. This is what we are trying to understand. We weren't there. We didn't see it. There are things that we can't see, even when it comes to business operations, the way people work, the way people think. So if you're looking at human resources, if you work in human resource management, if you're looking at how do we develop, how do we train, how do we improve people, right? It's not like operations. You can't see, it's not engineering, it's not mechanical, it's more trickier. It's not physics and maths. If we are looking at people, how they think, how do you motivate? So you have to learn about how people think, how people behave, and you're trying to investigate that aspect. Completely different to a project management area. You're looking at, okay, how do we look at efficiencies? How do we, if we have a project, if we have an event to organize, while we're doing these kind of activities, while we're preparing the stage, can we look at preparing the decorations, right? How can we save time? How can we save money? So there are, in different disciplines, there are different aspects, but in each aspect, you're a detective. You're a detective doing conducting a research and looking for solutions, right? You're looking for solutions to a problem that you have. And then you're also, when you look at have you all watched a lot of law related movies where lawyers would present a case, or read any books where a lawyer would present a case? There's a writer called John Grisham. If you read his books, he will talk about how a lawyer would present a case. They would present the argument. And when they present the argument, they would present it with a lot of explanation. They would create a story, and there's logic, there's a lot of facts, there's a lot of information saying, hey, this is how it happens. And we know this happened like this because, hey, we did the research. We spoke to the witnesses. we spoke, we collected the evidence, we looked at the evidence, and this is what happened. And they will present it and say, okay, this is our understanding of what happened. This is why what we believe in, and this is why we believe in it. They would convince us that this is the story, right? And then it's the lawyer who would be prosecuting or sharing a different perspective, who has a different idea, would argue against and present a different story. So you don't know what to believe, because when the first lawyer speaks, he presents a good case. It seems logical. It makes sense. When lawyer two speaks, that person makes sense. And then you have to look at both arguments and compare, and then come to a conclusion. And the conclusion is sometimes life and death. Its conclusion is what makes sense. So in business research also, you're playing the role of a detective. You're taking pieces, you're conducting research, you're looking at facts, figures, the way Reem spoke about, for example, business performance history, right? If you take finance, right, how a stock is performing during certain seasons, right? For example, during during Christmas time or during winter time, clothes like sweaters, warm clothing would sell much more. People would buy it much more. And then sportswear, people will buy much more during January and during August, during summer, right? Why during January? What is the reason? Because people are making New Year's resolutions and they want to get into fitness again. So a lot of people are, spending money on fitness items and fitness active wear, right? And in August, because it's summer and people have a much more of a break, they're getting back into fitness. So a textile company, a clothes company would basically release their release new clothing activewear during these months. They will position it and plan it. Okay, during January and during summer, during August, they would basically sell activewear. During December, they would try to advertise and they would market the warm clothing, right? So they to make those decisions, to plan what to sell when and how to position their product and what people want. To make all of these decisions and try to understand, you have to do investigation, right? There has to be a reason why you make decisions in business, and for that you have to be a detective, right? So that is why you do conduct research and analysis. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Then the other thing that we want you to do is be able to manage your work independently, right? So in this work, in this research assignment, you will be doing a lot of work independently, where you will be investigating, you will be doing the activities, you will be thinking, you will be trying to find out, and doing a lot of reading. Fortunately for you, I am a little bit more modern. I wouldn't force you to read all the journal articles, but I will tell you what and where to look for research, right? There is something that you need to definitely do when you're doing business research, right? And you're researching a specific industry. One thing that is crucial is that you have to look for facts. You can't take fantasy. You can't take different ideas. So whatever you're looking at, even if you're looking at YouTube video, you have to be able to differentiate fake news from real news. So you have to look for facts, for factual information that makes sense, right? And I'm sure that you all have done this in the past for previous assignments. So you have to be intellectual in terms of what you pick to read and what you pick to bring into your assignment and listen. And that you have to do independently. And I will act as a guide. I won't do it for you, or I won't tell you where to look and what to do. Where to look, I might help you with, but what to do, I will not tell you. You have to take responsibility for your own learning. So there's a lot of work that you will do on your own. So if you look at, where is it? If you look at this, I have 2 sessions with you today, right? It's 2 hours, so we've done 1 hour, and then I have more time with you. So I have up till 9:30 with you today, and then the next week end I will have time with you, And then you have to work on your own during this week, and then you have to submit your 750 word proposal, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that. Then after that, there's a supervisor allocation. So I might not be the same supervisor for you for your project. And then you will work with a guide, a facilitator, someone to guide you with how to formulate and think about what your research should be and how to be a detective, right? So that is coming later. Okay. Then solve complex problems. So I think that once you've done the research, once you have a broad understanding, you will be able to solve complex problems, right? That means in response to the research, response to what you have found, and you will uncover or unearth and find things that you did not know, right? Based on what you're finding. Okay, so for example, I was speaking to there's this friend of mine. He's younger than me, but he's also like you. He's doing a research project, and he spoke to me about what he's trying to. He's in the same position as you all. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do the research about, right? And he told me that his research was about in the gaming world, right? Because he's a gamer, and his degree, his work, he's studying at Aberdeen. He's in that gaming world. He's looking at a business problem related to marketing and customer loyalty. Now, the problem that he is looking at, or what he was telling me, was that based on research, he has looked at a couple of case studies. You know what case studies are, so I'm not going to explain it. So he'll look at different companies that have had failures. So companies that have been relatively successful. So he spoke about a company that the one that I'm familiar with, which is very popular, a company that called Ubisoft, that produced the game Assassin's Creed and in the past Prince of Persia, right? And how that company basically put out a game or published a game or produced a game rather that was not something that was popular, because it all depends on how much gamers or users would play the game and continue playing the game. Would they go back to playing a game, right? How much time they would spend playing a certain game. And now you play games online, so you can monitor how much time gamers or people would, or the consumer would spend on a game. Guys, it's getting late evening here, so I'm going to take a quick break in a second to put the lights on, but that's only a 2-minute break, okay? And I will come back here. So just after the story. So he told me this story, and he told me the problem was that they are producing games that the consumer doesn't like. Why? That's the question. Why? So now we have a problem. We know that these companies, these legacy companies that have been successful in producing interesting, engaging, popular games, are producing games that customers don't like. They're inventing games that customers don't like, consumers or gamers don't like. They would play it or they wouldn't play it at all, because there are better games. And then why is the question? Why are they producing games that they don't like? And the reason for it, he was saying, was when they dug into and did the research, and this was based on somebody else has done the research, so he's taking that aspect and he's defining that as a problem, that the shareholders who are profit driven, who don't necessarily aren't gamers, aren't really consumers, aren't really users of the products or that are being created, are influencing what decisions should be made about making the game, right? So the wrong people are influencing the decisions that needs to go into the narrative of the game. So that was a business problem. So I thought that was very good. To come to this point, it was a lot of brainstorming and figuring out what he wants to drive. So that was, you can see how he came up with that idea. He said that, okay, I read these articles, I read these, I realized that there's a problem. And when you guys work and you all go to work every day, you all will also realize that there are certain challenges that you will see at your office, things that aren't working right, things that don't make sense, that you need solutions to, right? Now, I'm going to take a quick break. I want you all to think about how you can find these challenges and how you can use any of these tools to apply it to find out what these challenges. Meanwhile, I'm going to put the light on and come. If you all want to stand up, stretch, maybe we can take 3 minutes. So it's 6:26. We'll be back at 6:30. And I want you all to give this some thought. And when I come back, I want us to be there to be a discussion of how we can apply a theoretical tool to solve maybe a problem or apply this to a certain problem. And you can do, you don't actually have to create something, a new solution. You can tell me about something you did for your previous assignment. That would be fine. All right. So I'll be back and let's have a discussion afterward at 6:30. All right. Okay. I am back. So it's much more brighter. Um, all right. Did you all have a discussion among yourselves? I want to encourage you all to talk to each other and share. Have you all worked in groups before among you, among 5 of you?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Okay. So, Muba, have you worked with Ghislaine before, or Reem before, or Nasir? Have you?
Yes, we
You
have worked
have.
together. Yeah.
Okay. So you all have worked together. So tell me.
Yes, sir, we have worked with.
All right. So you all have worked together. Were there anyone else that is not here today that also was part of that group?
Yes, we don't have
Which one?
Shamruza today.
Okay. Okay.
Shamruz and
Yes, sir, I was in a group
Vivian
with
is
Mubashira
missing.
and the other one.
All right. Okay. So tell me, what did y'all look at a business problem, or did y'all look at a certain what kind of project did y'all do together?
We did
We were
cross
making an
culture.
analysis on PepsiCo.
Okay, so PepsiCo. I remember that. So y'all basically looked at how to bring PepsiCo to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
So what was the problem? What problem did y'all find when y'all looked at it?
One of the major problems was the cultural aspects because we have a diversified population here with different cultures, and how we can feed these the requirements of these cultural differences in our products.
Okay, so what were these cultural problems, if you could tell me? What were the specific problems? And how did y'all find a solution to it?
Specifically on the flavor profiles of different snacks. Different cultures are more into different kind of flavor profiles.
Where did you
And
find the information about these flavor profiles? How did you come to this conclusion?
it's mostly on the local understanding of the people around us. And
Right.
we researched a little bit more on what kind of flavor profile there is in general. And the population of Saudi Arabia, how is the diversification within the country?
So you're telling me that you came to these conclusions because you have because your gut feeling, first of all, initially it started there, I'm guessing, that because you've grown up there and you understand the culture there, that you think that, or you had a hunch that there were different flavor profiles, or the way people think in that culture is different, and they might not accept the products.
Yeah.
And okay, so interesting. So I'm going to start there, right? Remember this. You had, and I'm going to use this word called a hunch, right? So in research, also there's this hunch that you might have, right? Um, what do I mean by a hunch?
An idea or a doubt?
Correct. A doubt or an idea, or let's say it's an idea. An idea. You think a certain thing, or you have a suspicion. I think that would be the best word for it. You have a suspicion that there is something that exists. But you can't prove it. Why can't you prove it?
Because we don't have facts.
You don't have the facts. You don't have evidence. So now how do you get the evidence? And that's my next question. For this project, how did you find the evidence to prove that your hunch was correct or incorrect?
We looked at the industrial analysis and
Okay.
the market analysis on different competitors, what they are providing for the market currently, and how we can improve, how is the sales margin of the competitors, what they're looking to improve in the future.
Okay.
We
So
read a
was
few
this
articles as well. Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. So then you started investigating and trying to find evidence. So you read a few articles that said similar things to what you believe in. So you did internet research and said, hey, this is what I think. You try to find any evidence to justify or back up what your hunch is. So your hunch came from experience because you understand the market, you've grown up there, you live there, so you've seen people, you've been in conversations, so people would have shared opinions with you. So that's where your hunch says. So then you're looking for evidence. So when you look at articles and you look at historical information and facts and figures, right, data, sometimes you will look at, okay, buyer behavior, people over the years. So did you compare how people respond to soft drinks, certain soft drinks, their flavor profile? But what did you find? Did you compare Coca-Cola against Pepsi, or did you look at other soft drinks? How did you kind of, what were the comparisons that you looked at?
We did a comparison between three major brands within the kingdom. We had Coca-Cola, we had Pepsi, and we had Kinza, which is also a soft drink, which is popular here. So we went through what are the items that they are introducing to the market and what we are missing to introduce by ourselves.
Got it. So what was the data? Did you look at any data? Did you use any data in terms of your analysis? How many people are buying a certain product
Yeah.
historically? Yeah.
We got the data from some statistics.
Mm-hmm.
What is the sales margin they have? What is the expected sales within a specific period of time? In
Mm-hmm.
terms of soft drinks, hot drinks, we had snacks as well.
And what did you find in when you looked at the data? Did you find that what were the aha moments? What did you realize? What were the conclusions that you drew from your data analysis?
We could see that the competition was massive,
Okay.
especially in terms of beverages. So we had to study more on whether this market is good for us to work with and how we can improve and what kind of elements which we can add to improve our sales forecast if we are to bring this product to the country.
All right. So who was succeeding in the existing competition in the beverage market? Who was succeeding? Who was
Coca-Cola
on top?
was on the lead, yeah.
Why do you think Coca-Cola was on the lead?
Because it's a well-known brand and it's a famous brand. They have
Okay,
been
that's
there
what
for
you're
a
saying. But
period of time.
what did your research show you? How can you justify it? I think Pepsi is famous. Maybe from where I come from or from where I stand, Pepsi is more popular. So
If
how do
we
you
see
prove
the
to me?
current data, yes, Pepsi is. But in our poster, what we had to look for is how we can move from USA, the Pepsi, to Saudi Arabia. So we couldn't get the current data into it.
Okay, so you're saying that Coca-Cola was winning, they were more popular because more people were
Yeah.
buying Coca-Cola?
Yeah, the sales
Coca-Cola
margin
was
was good.
sales margin was better. Okay. And then when you researched why, was there any data or any evidence to say why people were buying more Coca-Cola? Had the beverage companies done any market research that was published online?
They had their financial statements. I cannot recall specifically on this specific point.
Okay, so now you're stuck. Now you don't know. You are basically saying that Coca-Cola is more popular because their marketing is better. It could be not. We don't know. But you're saying that Coca-Cola, based on their financials, are performing better. They're making more money than Pepsi,
Yeah.
right? So you've done that analysis. You've done Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and you've taken another Enzo, is it?
Yeah.
Enzo, okay. So these three companies, you've looked at the financials, and you're saying that Coca-Cola is making more money. Now, you're saying that Coca-Cola is making more money because their marketing is better. But how do we know? Maybe it is because Pepsi isn't producing as much and selling or marketing or selling as much beverages as much as Coca-Cola is, because their operation in Saudi Arabia is maybe it's smaller. Maybe they're focusing on India, and their sales are bigger in India than Coca-Cola because they are marketing and they can afford to produce Pepsi for cheaper than Coke in India, but they can't do the same in Saudi. Who knows? So we don't know. So you're making assumptions here, and I'm also making an assumption here based on as to why, but we don't know we don't know the truth, do we? We don't know. So how do we find the truth now? Now we're stuck. We've done all the research, internet research. What did y'all do? How did y'all find the truth? How did y'all find whether what were the when y'all came up with justifications as to why y'all should? So when y'all spoke about Pepsi, bringing Pepsi into Saudi, what product were y'all talking about? What flavor? Because you said Pepsi was existing in Saudi Arabia. What different product were you bringing into Saudi Arabia?
We looked into Diet Coke due to health concerns, and we introduced certain flavor profiles for the snacks according to the cultural differences, the majority of the cultures we have here.
Mm-hmm. So snacks, Pepsi branded snacks, so
The PepsiCo has different kind of snacks, like
okay, so they have
Lay's,
snacks.
chips, and all that.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't know that. So Lay's belongs to them. Okay, good. All right. Okay. And why did you think that it would be successful? What was your justification saying to say that it would be successful in Saudi Arabia?
PepsiCo itself?
The products that you were bringing into Saudi Arabia. Why?
Because as per our research, we had a huge majority of younger population within the country. The majority of the population was youngsters. So we
Right.
thought it will be a major element where they can consume these products.
And what makes you think that these products are popular among young people?
We did the research on it. We
What
got
research?
statistics,
Okay.
yeah, on the
So what did you find from
consumables.
the research?
We got some statistics on the consumables of youngsters,
Okay. So I'm
soft
looking for
drinks,
an
hot
answer.
drinks.
I'll give you an example of what I'm looking for. I'm wondering whether you'd tell me, okay, so young people in you were looking at Brazil, right? Not Brazil. You were looking at bringing it from the US, these products,
US to Saudi, yeah.
US to Saudi. All right. So if you tell me, okay, these products, these snacks and these flavor, whatever, and different flavor of Pepsi, let's say, I'm assuming. Those are popular among young people in the US. Therefore, you believe that if you bring it to um, Saudi Arabia, it would be successful based on that research. That's where you're making a justification, right?
Yeah.
So you've done the research in the US, and therefore you're saying that it might be successful here. Or you might say that, okay, hey, in Saudi Arabia, young people there's a
They are
spike
more
in.
into these kind of snacks.
Right, exactly. So you've done research and you found that these young people are buying more snacks. They are investing or spending more money on snacks, right? What if that is decreasing and they're spending more on healthy snacks? Okay, so that's another trend that you would want to look at. So you're looking at different angles. But now we are looking at research that is existing on the internet. You're looking at answers to your questions. You're looking for the answers on published research that is existing.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what happens when you come to a brick wall, when you're the research, there's no more research, you still have questions, but you don't have the answers to those questions. What do you do then?
You have to research more around the question rather than to the question itself. So you can make your own justification around it.
All right, good. So now you're trying to make other investigations, but one you can do that. But I think how you came to these ideas or these assumptions, right? when people come to assumptions, that initial hunch, right, is based on your intelligence and your personal knowledge and your experience, right? Your experience. That's why experience matters a lot, right? The experience you can't study from a book, because, and it's the best way of learning, right? So your experience led to that hunch, right? Because it's real world experience. It's what you lived experience, right? But you can't basically, I can come up and say that, hey, AI is basically going to replace jobs, so I'm going to fire everyone. Or I consult for a company, I'm going to say, based on my experience, I'm pretty sure that AI is going to replace all the operational jobs in your company. So let's fire people now and then introduce AI without wasting money. People are going to say, hey, are you crazy? There has to be some evidence. You have to present the research, right? We can't because I could be lying, right? Or I could be wrong just because I have lived experience. Just like that previous example that I gave you about that boy who was talking about the gaming companies or shareholders, they could say that they have experience, but not the right kind of experience, right? Not in right perspective. So you need to test and see whether your hunch or your perspective or idea is correct. And for that, you need to do consultancy. You need to conduct the research, right? And what you would do is, when you're looking at facts and figures from the internet resources and all that, that is what we call secondary research, right? And have you all heard of something called a literature review? It's where you look at existing research articles, information that has been written about the topic. So that would be a secondary research. When you can't find any more information about that and you have further questions based on what you have read, based on this line of questioning, then you want to basically design a primary research. And primary research is where you go out there and you start speaking to people in a systematic way. You start collecting information from people and get them to share their experience and their information with you in order to come to a conclusion and to find answers to the questions that you have unanswered. So that is basically how a research gets constructed, and that's why it's important, right? Now, in order to come to these conclusions, and what kind of tools did you use? Did the assignment ask you to use any tools to figure out, to make the way or construct the system in which you find the research easier? And can you tell me how you used any of these tools, or a tool that is not written here, to find out or conduct research or kind of make sense of the research that you have done? Okay, now I want someone else to speak, because Muba has spoken, and I think all of y'all were involved in this project. I would like to ask y'all, did y'all use any of these tools to justify the research, or present or make sense of the research that you did, to come to a conclusion or justify the decisions that you all made for this product, Pepsi?
Only me and Abdurrahman was on the group for Pepsi. The
Okay.
rest of them, I think, was doing on Nestle. Reem and Gigi.
Okay. Reem, from the assignment that you did on Nestle, do you want to give this a try? Did you all, based on the research that you all had done, first of all, can you relate to what Muba and I was talking about? That's my first question. Did you go through the same experience where you did research to try to make sense and create certain justifications as to why Nestle should be brought from Brazil and introduced to, brought from Switzerland and introduced to Brazil? Did you look at these different aspects and create these different arguments?
We did use the culture dimension, and we talked about like their employment rate, their GDP, and like more of that kind of things.
All right. So you use the Herzberg cultural dimensions to understand. Okay, so let's look at the Herzberg. That's the one you pick. Let's look at it.
Yes.
So you looked at this to see, so tell me how you used it.
we compared the countries itself and like how the Brazil and like Switzerland, Nestle were based on like the household culture. We compared the countries.
All right. And did you all find any similarities or areas where you thought, okay, because of this reason, it'll work, bringing Nestle from that country to this country would work?
Yes.
So how did you justify? What was it that helped you justify that bringing this product to that country would work?
So, for example, I would give the power distance. Like in Brazil, it was 69, and in Switzerland, it was 34. So, in Switzerland, it was low, and in Brazil, it was high. It was good for Brazil, Nestle that Brazilian would accept the hierarchical structure and more easily requiring tailored management and their approaches.
Okay, okay.
Then there were about individualism. In Brazil, it was low, and in I think it was around 40, and in Switzerland it was 70. So Brazil leans towards like collectivism, valuing group harmony and loyalty.
Okay, so where did you get these ratings from? Is it rated online? See,
We did it on like there was an app that we can put the countries and it will show you.
right. And you basically used that to
Yes. We mainly use like the GDP and like the capital market and employment levels.
right.
So like for an employment level, the rate in Brazil was around like 6.4. Like it was in recovery level market. So Nestle would be like able to leverage this by creating more jobs and accessing a large and competitive labor pool.
Mhm. Okay. So what I'm understanding from what you're saying, Reem, you use the Herzberg cultural, the two-factor theory or cultural dimensions theory. I think it's motivating and hygiene factors. Is this the same, the right tool that I'm looking at, or am I looking at the wrong one? But anyway, that apart, I think I know what you're talking about. So it's power distance. So you looked at these areas and you had done some research to say, okay, what is the rating? What kind of country, in terms of culturally, what kind of country they were? Were they strong on power or distance? Was it strong on collectivism or individualism or whatever it is? Were they more risk taking or more less risk taking? Or you looked at these factors to see, okay, how does Nestle need to adapt in order to be more conducive to the country? So what you did was you did research. You tried to kind of frame the research that you found using one of these tools, right? And you can basically, that's what a consultant would do. They would like take the research, they would try to understand, frame it, and see how it is useful for the company to make certain decisions, right?
Yeah.
So that is what you did, and that is basically what you would be expected to do here as well. You need to basically, in a much more deeper way, you need to conduct research and basically come to conclusions. What Muba, what did you do when you came to Pepsi? What kind of tool did you use to kind of frame your research and use that to make certain decisions?
Is it okay if I show it to you?
Yes, of course. I'd be happy to see. I know I'm pulling out past information that over a break you might have uh, forgotten. All right, wow, an academic paper poster. So you use the cultural dimensions as well, okay?
We looked at the cultural dimensions, SWOT analysis, pastel. We have the gap analysis. We spoke about the Vero framework.
Mhm.
We did a little about market research.
Mhm.
And we looked at some possible alternative countries as well.
Okay. So what was if you can tell me one striking factor based on the SWOT or PESTEL, something you learned about Saudi Arabia that said, hey, this is why Pepsi will be successful. Don't worry about it. Think about it though, because that is the kind of question that you need to answer when you're doing this project, when you're looking at business consultancy project. Now, the thing with research is, right? Usually you would that hunch that you have, right? Like I told you, it would be based on your lived experience, your perspective, your judgment, your biases. Do you know what the word biases means? For example,
Our understanding.
our understanding or our judgment, right? Our judgment. Sometimes our judgment might be very different from your judgment, right? Sometimes because we live different lives, our experiences are different. So that is why we can't make, of course, in business, I think all businessmen, they make decisions based on their own personal lived experience or judgment, right? But it isn't always correct. And that's why sometimes leaders make bad decisions or decisions that are unfair. Now, for example, if you looked at the US, right? Donald Trump, he thinks he's making good decisions for the country, right? He thinks that he's looking at, okay, how do I make difficult decisions to save money for my country to protect my people? So I don't know if you know, but USAID, right? I work in the development sector. USAID, have you all heard of the organization? So it's basically the United States operation for development, that where they give and support countries that need aid, and they run different projects. And the reason why it's a diplomacy policy, that the reason why they run support for other countries through these projects is, and they spend money, they invest in money, is because they want to make sure that these other countries, they support other countries and show their support. And likewise, they have a little bit of power or control within these countries through supporting, right? And that will give them more control and power overall as a world leader. Now, now what Trump did was he put a stop to that, because that is money going out of the country, money that the US economy needs, right? Because the US economy is struggling, and a lot of the people have to pay taxes and all of that, and are struggling. So he's making a decision for the good of his people, but he's also threatening projects and initiatives that the United States has started outside the country for specific reasons, for reasons that he might not completely understand. So, like that, he's also increasing the tariffs. Do you all know what tariffs are? So tariffs are like taxes that they impose on other countries that are exporting products to the United States. So let's say I am a company, I am exporting textile clothes to the United States. I have to pay an additional tax to the United States to be able to sell my product in that market. That means the costs, I can pay for that tariff, or I can pass that tariff to the customers in the United States. So they would pay a higher cost for my product. So by doing that, I will encourage more local businesses to, be able to earn more money, because they can either sell it at a lower rate than my product, or else they can increase the price to the product, to the price that my product is selling in the market, and it will be likely, and they'll get a better profit margin. So he's supporting local industries. So it's called protectionism. So he will do these things, but these decisions sometimes backfire, because what happens is they also depend on trade. They also depend on importing. or they also depend on exporting to other countries. So those other countries might do the same thing to them, and then the businesses that export from the US might also be affected. So when leaders take decisions, if they're going to make or base those decisions based on their lived experiences, right, based on their hunch or based on their idea and their bias, sometimes those decisions have a option to fail, right? It very likely might fail. So to avoid failing, what do they need to do? And that is where you conduct research, and that's where we need to be careful. When we conduct research, we need to be careful not to introduce bias into our research. We need to come from a perspective, as we need to be in a position where we are ignorant, we don't know the answers. So that is why we are investigating for an answer, right? So let's look at this practically from the content that we are looking at, right? Each of you need to find an answer to a business problem, right? That is the first step. So you need to choose an organization. I think you will be able to do that. And then select an organization that you have an understanding about. This could mean through personal connections, past experience, or businesses that interest you. And make sure that there is a real business issue or potential for improvement that you can address through your consultancy project. Okay, so this is the area that I am talking about today and where I want to focus. Because coming up with a business problem and framing a business problem might be challenging. If I were to ask you at the top of your mind, sometimes you might know this because it's something that you can relate to because of the work that you do, something that is happening in your work right now. But do you think in your business there is a problem that you all are facing? Is there an issue that you all are trying to solve in your organizations? Would it help if I share an example from my organization?
Yes.
All right. So in my organization, we are going, because we are a charity, sometimes we are looking for funding, right? We're looking for donors to support us, right? But what happens is sometimes we have certain objectives. We have operations. We serve communities. We serve children, right? And our focus is, our business focus is, okay, we provide education after school. So schools would teach these kids, but because the schools aren't doing such a great job, we need to provide children free tuition because children are struggling. These are children who come from low income communities. They can't afford tuition. So we need to teach them, right? So that is our core business. We want to teach them. We want to find money to pay the teachers that teach them. And we want to find donors that would agree with what our purpose is. And also we would provide them with a meal. So that is our operation. That is our core business. That is not business, but that is our core purpose, to basically provide this and keep this operation going and serve these communities and serve the children that need help. Now, what happens often is when we reach out to donors or partners, people who have the money, and ask them to take an interest in supporting our organization and supporting our operations, they would say, okay, what you're doing is very interesting, but what we would like to do is something different. We want to create awareness about digital literacy. Okay, we'll just a random one. So how can we run a project where we train across your centers something about digital literacy? So we will say, okay, we can do this. We'll create a program and we'll do that. But digital literacy is not a core need of the community, the children in those communities. But we think that it might be something useful. So we will take on the project. Like that, different donors will come with small, different projects. And then before you know it, what happened to us is, because our attention is divided into different other projects, and because we've invested into other projects, sometimes the core work that we were doing was suffering. So because our attention and our resources were divided, we were trying to manage all of these other projects. We weren't focusing on what we should be doing for these communities to the best ability. We were spending on all of these other areas, and we were spread too thin. So now what we did was we had to look at, okay, strategically, we can't do all of these projects. We don't have the capacity, the investment, and the support to do all of these projects. And we can't be always shifting sail and going in different directions based on what our donors are asking us to do. So what my director was saying, okay, we need to decide on which projects we need to discontinue, which projects we can't do anymore because they are not really creating value. And that is a difficult decision to make. And that is a problem. That's a business problem that I'm looking at. So like that, in your organization, business problem might be completely different. Now, something I'm dealing with today is this. We have limited funding to pay teachers, right? But we want our teachers to also make sure that whatever they're doing for our kids is of good quality. So sometimes the teachers might be focused on making sure the children perform well in the exams, but not all children can perform well in the exams. And as a result of focusing too much on children performing well at exams, they will, what they will do is their focus is solely on that. They would neglect helping children who can't perform at exams. So they will neglect serving them and helping teaching those children in a different way and supporting those children. So that is the problem I'm dealing with. So how do you make sure our teachers continue supporting those kids that are performing well in exams, as well as teach those who can't understand? Because where majority of our kids are the ones that can't understand and can't perform or don't perform in exams. And exams is not the only assessment of intelligence, but it's only an assessment of intelligence that is formally recognized in our country. Because if you have a results sheet with A's, B's, and C's, then you're recognized. But that is not the only assessment of talent and intelligence. So I'm dealing with that. So these are business examples of business problems that I'm facing. Do you have at the top of your mind a business problem like this? No? That is completely fine. And that's why I told you that it's difficult to really find a business issue or potential or an opportunity, business opportunity. So how I will help you is expose you to different kinds of case studies, right? To help you understand, as in different kinds of businesses, these are the different business problems that they face. But you need to think about it from your own perspective. Let me take a minute now to pause here and ask you if y'all are understanding the things that I'm saying, or is it confusing? Because I have taken a little bit of a unconventional approach today. I am not using slides and being the typical teacher kind of taking you through structurally. I'm kind of taking you through a narrative and these ideas. But am I confusing y'all? Are y'all getting confused? Are y'all missing the point, or do y'all follow what I'm saying? I need to do a pulse check to see whether y'all are okay.
It is understandable.
You understand? Do you think that it makes sense and you can relate it to the work that you're doing?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So let's do this for today, because you need to do this. This is the place that you need to start, right? And then later we will need to come up with a 750 word consultancy, 750 word consultancy project proposal, outlining what your plan is. And in this proposal, you'll have to answer these questions, right? First of all, you'll have to tell us what your organization is, which you did at the beginning of this when I asked you for an introduction. You gave me a little bit of perspective. Now, organization overview is really important because I don't know what your organization is, right? Your examiner or whoever is reading about your organization, because we are from a completely different country, we are from a completely different business. We don't know what is happening. But if you give us information, like for example, Mr. Nazir, he gave me an explanation of what kind of business. He said it's a small startup business. He told me that there are some who don't work full time. Is Nasir online or did he have to drop out? Okay, he had to drop out. But y'all remember what he told me, right? So he told me a little bit about the kind of business that they do. So from that, I'm imagining and I'm trying to put the puzzle together to understand, okay, these are potentially the problems that he might have. He might have problems with sometimes the seller might not be very honest. So how do they identify uh, ruling out the risk of the seller not being very honest? So how do they do an investigation to make sure that the product that the seller is selling is what they say about the product is true? Then if there are customer complaints, if customers aren't happy, how do they handle that risk? How do they manage different other challenges? So there might somewhere in that whole operation be certain challenges that they are facing that could be a business problem, where they would be able to look at research and see whether there are similar experiences in other companies where they could find a solution. So now online, I'm just going to look at y'all. So today I'm going to work on trying to help y'all find this business problem or business research area that you want to look at for your business project. So I'm just going to recap on your background, right? So Muba, you work at you work in facilities management. So you look at in a hospital, right? And
Yeah.
you also give in reports, and your work is to make sure that the building, the resources, do you look at the procurement and resources, making sure that the facility has the right resources to run as
No, we
well?
don't look
No.
at that.
So you're only looking at whether the building, the elevators are working, the electricity is
Yes.
running, it's clean, whether it's clean as well, whether
Yeah.
the cleaners are operating and cleaning it on time and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at those aspects. You're looking at whether the operation, the building facilities are functional. Okay. Ghislaine, you work in administration at Sorbonne University, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're looking at the procurement, making sure that the university has the necessary resources, right?
Yes, for procurement and general services.
Can you give me examples of what kind
For,
of things that you're procure and
for
general
example,
services that you do?
okay, for general services, we are looking more for transportation of for the professors and where they are staying. Also, if about the cleaner and security parkings, if all the facility they are working properly. And for procurement, we are dealing with different company like reservation for flights, hotels, and also looking for a different company we can work with as a part um, part timer or whatever.
Okay, all right. So similar to what Mumbai is doing in certain aspects, do you pick the teachers that you need to bring in for the university, or that is not in your job?
Sorry?
This thing you just is it up to your department to look to pick or find the right teachers to teach us students, or
No,
are you
this
looking
is
at
the
caring for
HR.
the program?
We are
So
just
caring for the
caring.
teachers.
Yeah.
All right. So you need to make sure that those resources are right. Okay.
Yes.
I have to move where I am from to another room. So we're going to take a quick break. Okay. So I'll give you all, would you all like that? 2 minutes break and then we'll come back. Is that okay? And then we're going to look at how to formulate this business problem. How, from your perspectives, how we can come up with something. Okay, so we
Yes.
join back at it's 7:15 now, 7:20. Is that okay?
Yeah.
7:20 in my time, but that's in your time, it might be different.
How many minutes?
How
Because
many
for
minutes?
us it's
That's 4 minutes. Take 5
4
minutes.
minutes.
Let's just say 5 minutes.
okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.